Hello and welcome to Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. I'm your host, Andrew Heaton, and you're listening to the most aerodynamic podcast on the market. It's Friday. We're going to do a Friday release valve. If you're new to the program, that's where I give up on trying to be substantive. For the week, we're done. We've already done that. I had to read an entire book and then talk about it. We're just going to kick around fun headlines with one of my comedy buddies. And the program you're listening to is brought to you by Headline Pizzas, the only daily pizza service which writes the morning's pertinent headlines on the pizza with a Sharpie so that you can get a balanced breakfast and a well-informed mind. But let me ask you something. What happens when you're traveling? Do all those pizzas just stack up on your front porch, attracting raccoons and drifters? Hardly. Headline Pizza has a special out-of-town function for globetrotters just like you. Call the Headline Pizza hotline, let them know how long you'll be away, and then they will fax you a pizza with headlines on it. There you are in your hotel room at the Marriott Tucson or what have you. And in the morning, Headline Pizzas will fax you a mid-sized pepperoni pizza with the gripping headlines about whatever Trump tweeted or the latest shooting or the various other stories which now dominate our daily media hellscape. My guest today, Kevin Seefried, comedian extraordinaire. We've had you on the program previously, but now we're doing it in the studio, Kevin.
I know.
Yeah.
Life-changing.
Yeah. So we're going to kick around funny headlines today. I'll dive right into it. In San Antonio, thieves snatch shark from San Antonio Aquarium, wheel it out in a baby carriage. Now, I read this, and basically they snuck in and had the baby carriage, I think, went into the janitor's closet and dumped a bleach bucket or something out, which does not seem like the ideal thing to transport a shark in. I don't know a lot about sharks and bleach, but I feel like they're probably
good
not.
pals, actually. It's a lot of people don't know. Yeah. If you ever see like one of those little baby friend videos, it's just a bleach bucket and then a little baby shark.
Yeah.
So.
They did that, and then they put it in a bassinet, I guess.
Yep. Give it a little bonnet.
Yeah, and then, exactly. I read that, and I was like, this to me sounds like the prequel to Jaws. I feel like this is the origin story for Jaws, is them stealing this shark and wheeling it out. What better way to do it? It's this peaceful little shark living in an aquarium that it's taken out of its home, and it's traumatized, and it becomes big and eventually eats people.
And then it goes back into the ocean, and that's why it has this big revenge.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought it was more of like a Free Willy type situation, but they just didn't know what a whale looked like. They were like, I know it's in here somewhere.
I like that. They're just very dumb whale thieves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know that would be cool, because then if this is a movie, they could get to the point where they are attacked by the shark. Well, this, again, I think this goes back into the Jaws thing. Maybe they're dumb whale hunters, and then the shark eventually kills them and then, gets into a sewer grate.
Yeah.
Lives in the sewer for a few years and then gets into the ocean and becomes Jaws.
That could happen.
Yeah.
Or you could take the more positive route, and at the end of it, it, sees them again. And it's like, you ever see one of those videos where, the guy who raised lions sees the lion 15 years later in the Sahara, the safari?
Yeah.
If it's
and
that,
jumps on
the
him and
dog
he's gonna
comes
kill him,
over,
and
and but then it kills him by accident because it doesn't know its own strength.
Yeah.
To me, the funniest thing was that they're selling, they took the shark because apparently they have a home aquarium where they are trying to sell all these marine animals. And that's one thing. But what's more interesting to me is who is buying marine animals from somebody's home? It's just Dr. Evil just out on the market shopping we do need some new decorations.
Right.
I have an in-house dentist, and he doesn't want regular fish, so...
No, I think you're right about that. If I were, the only people buying sharks, let's be very clear. The only people buying sharks are aquariums and Bond villains. Those are the only people.
There's nobody else.
Yeah, there's no one else wants a shark unless it's a very tiny shark. And in that case, you probably buy it from Joe's Aquarium Shop or something.
Yeah, it's always a Joe's. There's never. Isn't it weird? Joe's is always in charge of a crab shack or any sort of marine.
There was a guy when I was in college. There was a guy. It was Safari Joe. Who operated out of Northeast Oklahoma. I was at Grand Lake, one of the lakes up there. And he would just take animals on his pontoon and drive around the lake. And he would he took a baby crocodile or a baby alligator, and he taped the snout shut with electric tape and put it on a long leash and just tossed it into the drink. And so I'm swimming, and all of a sudden I just saw this alligator come up. And it couldn't get me because but it wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
And I have never felt more like a monkey in my life. All of my monkey instincts were just boiling.
Was that a prank he pulled, or just
that's how he advertised his thing. He was like, what better way to get people to come to Safari Joe's, I think that was the name of the place, Safari Joe's, than to just throw alligators at them and assume that they will be delighted by my antics.
I feel like you're missing a main part of this, which is why were you there if that was the advertisement?
I didn't go to the thing. This is just at the lake.
You were just at the lake, and then it came it came out of its typical area.
I'm drinking a Diet Pepsi with my friend in Grand Lake or whatever, and like all of a sudden, some shirtless guy with a pontoon boat rolls up and throws an alligator into the lake. That's from my perspective.
Like on the side of the tape is like a brochure for his event. He's like, "Oh, if you like this, you're gonna love the rest of Pontoon Jones."
It does though, like that. And one time, my neighbor had gone grizzly bear hunting in Alaska, and he came back and he had like a 9-foot tall grizzly bear, and I walked up to it and went, ah, like it was dead and everything. But like there's some part of our brain that like really has those strong monkey instincts that's still present.
Who goes grizzly bear?
My old neighbor, Mr.
You
Belcher.
gotta stop associating with these people, Andrew.
Yeah.
You gotta move to a city, dude.
Yeah, you know what? Now I'm in Dallas. I'm sure there won't be any weird animals.
There's
stuff
nothing weird in Texas at all, outside of Austin.
No guns, no hunting. I don't need to worry about any of that stuff. Well, let's jump over to an entirely different continent. In Swaziland men ordered to marry more than 2 wives or risk jail. So this is the king of Swaziland. He is apparently there's more women than there are men, and I maybe war because I know it's been in a couple of other African countries where they've had that problem where there've been internecine warfare. But anyway, there's way more women than men. So he's ordered all of the men to take a second wife, and if they don't, they get jail time. So I think it's the same guy. A few years ago, when AIDS was an issue, he just ordered everyone to quit having sex. Was another one of his projects.
This guy is solutions oriented.
Yes, exactly. This is a problem solver. I read that and I was like, I can't even hold down a girlfriend for 6 months, and I have to get 2 wives. This is just way too much to deal with.
That's the thing. It's not. What's really mean about this is mean to losers. When you think about it, if you're a loser in that country, and it's like, look, if you can't find 2 wives, you're going to.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a date to prom, dude.
I'm already gonna die alone. No one's here, and now I gotta go to jail on top of everything else.
Also, like, I love how he doesn't even take into account like women's feelings in any of it. It's just like every guy has to have 2 wives, and like I don't know, if you're a woman and you're finally in a country that doesn't have too many men doing everything and taking over control, I don't know, maybe let them have. Maybe this is a leggy. Jobs, you know what I mean? Let them have independent lives.
Hey, there's not enough guys. We can wear pantsuits now. You want to wear pantsuits and run the government?
Like, it would be great.
But this strikes me as like one of those like proper old school like like real monarchies though.
Yeah.
And they don't tend to be
idiot
like really idiot stuff. Like
monarchies where people have affairs with their cousins, and then their kids become the new rulers.
And then they like burn down the city with the dragon and all that stuff. It's one of those places, and they don't tend to be really open to newcomers in government. I find, like I doubt Saudi Arabia has like a great internship program for the royal family. They're just not into that. They're keen on whatever existent system they've got. The king. I looked at it, he's got 15 wives. And I think the goal is to get people to have 5 wives, and then if you hit the 5-wife threshold in Swaziland, they will pay for your weddings and give you houses for all the wives.
So you get like a punch card, and then once you hit the 5th one, they reimburse you for everything from before.
You've got like one of those old timey clanky machines that you put your marriage certificate in, and it like gives the little hole in it at like 8:30 a.m. and you're like, oh good, I'm gonna get that extra half hour of wife time, you get vacation or something like that. That strikes me as something of a hassle. That is a country that apparently does not have a lot of dating apps, or maybe has a ton of dating apps, and they're as awful as I think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to, actually, we'll go a little bit north to Ethiopia. Payouts for 737 MAX crash victims will be partially based on how long did the victims know they were plunging to their deaths. So I kind of missed some of these stories, but I gather that Boeing had a tough month about 2 months ago because like 3 or 4 planes crashed or something like that. A bunch of them did.
More than are supposed to.
More than, because it's supposed to be like, 1. You're like, well, okay.
We always know one's going to crash. That's fine.
Okay, so the pilot had a rough night or whatever.
That's the cost of doing business.
Yeah, but you get a lot of those. It was on Lion Air and Ethiopian Air, and 2 of these things crashed, and it killed like 400 people or something like that. And so they're now trying to pay the survivors of the people that were killed in these based in part on how long these anguished passengers knew that they were going to die, which I think is great. Not that they're dead, by the way. That's terrible. But I think the system's very fair. Here's why. I usually sit at the back of the plane in coach, which means I would have slightly longer to comprehend my death than someone at the first class section at the very front of the plane, because it's going to hit faster, right? So I would get paid more then the first class passenger, I'm finally getting my comeuppance in this
Oh,
situation.
so they're going seat by seat, you think?
I think so. I think you'd have, if I were an attorney, that's what I would be doing. As an attorney, I would be arguing that if you're in row 34D, that you had slightly longer to comprehend your mortality than someone in row 2.
I just love that Boeing's attorneys sat down and they're like, all right, how can we minimize these payouts? They only knew they were going to die for about 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. How bad is it really?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I think what you really want is to know that your spouse was like a big existentialist, and then you could be like, he knew for 20 years that death was coming.
See, that's what I was thinking was if you had a psychic on board the plane who, like, the second the plane took off was like, we're all going to die. Like, as long as, if you can get that black box footage, if there's a psychic who, like, minute 3 is like, we're all going to die, that guy's widower or widow gets a ton of money.
That's actually what I do as soon as we take off on every flight I've ever been on to make sure we get the biggest payout. I go, we're all going to die. And then I sit down, drink my ginger ale. And
nice. Yeah. That's very good. Yeah, just skip the in-flight safety and just cover your bases. That's smart. Everybody should do that. What I think I mentioned this on a prior program. What I used to do, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I used to get on and I would ask if I could say hi to the pilots. And then I would go, I just want you to know we're all counting on you. Like Leslie Nielsen from Airplane. And
that's the most ominous thing I've ever heard.
You know what? My other guest had a very similar reaction. She was like, you can't do that. You can't just go on a plane and be like, I would like to talk to the pilots. Like, I was like, oh, but I live in a Pollyanna world where, like, everybody wants to, like, go get soda with me. I get to live in this lackadaisical. I'm slowly learning that the universe is not as lackadaisical as I thought.
Yeah.
I'll say the older I get, the more disturbed I am at how different life is from as it was explained to me as an 8-year-old with cartoons. Like, you meet a mayor and you're like, where's your sash and top hat? And they're like, we don't do that. I'm like, well, that's nonsense, because, like, mayors are supposed to have tops and, like top hats and sashes. What's wrong with you?
Or you get hit by an anvil and you don't bounce right back up. It's
right.
Like, what is going on?
Anvils, there's, like John Mulaney points out, there's way less quicksand than we thought there was going to be.
Definitely.
He's like, kid, you thought there was going to be a ton of quicksand. And, like, no, not that much quicksand. Yeah, adulthood. All right. We'll kick it over to Denmark. Politician puts ad on Pornhub and says you have to be where your voters are. What's his name's like William Jockey or something like that.
I don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah, I don't know how to speak Danish, but he's catching some flack for it. I think this is brilliant.
It's a great idea.
I'm all in favor of this guy, and, like, I don't really know Danish politics very well, but he's like a liberal, like a European liberal, which is what I am, and he's fighting the anti-immigration conservatives over there. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I'm rooting for porn liberal. This sounds like a terrific guy to me. And I also read that, and I thought about that, and I was like, Gary Johnson should have taken out porn ads. That should have been the Gary Johnson campaign.
I don't know. If you're on a porn site, do you want to just see Gary Johnson in the middle of it?
But I feel like if, hey, Libertarian Steering Committee, I feel like there's some growth here in terms of picking up voters of, like, guys that are, like, 11 o'clock, they're on a porn website. I'm just saying, like, that, like, maybe that's a better way of approaching this than, like, having, like, a Hayek convention where everybody talks about Austrian economics. Like, reach out to the porn people.
I don't know. I feel like if the Libertarians have anyone, it's lonely single men. I feel like that's their main demo already.
As a lonely single man, I'm telling you, this is an opportunity to get some orange states as opposed to red and blue states in the next election.
The one thing that's interesting to me about it is, like, it just, like, and I get that it is technically a good strategy in terms of visibility, but is there no escape from politics at this point?
It's a
you
good
can't
point.
go on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and now you're home. The blinds are drawn. You just want to.
I just want to
do whatever
have a glass
those
of
people are
wine and
doing.
watch some BDSM, just like I do every day, whatever the situation is. And now
it's like,
this
vote for me.
Danish guy's coming on to talk about immigration. That's a really good point. Would you get a respite?
Yeah, either that or you're going to be too into him when you go to vote. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe you get conditioned. Like, you start hearing about immigration and, like, you start getting aroused. And, like, this is not what I planned.
Maybe that's his plan overall. He's like, this is how I'm going to get people on my side.
Nice. All right. Yeah. I'm going to reach out to this guy and see if we can get about the program. I feel like this would be an interesting chat. I'd like to hear his strategy and dynamics. This headline actually has the word shocking built into it. It reads, shocking, exclamation mark. 42-year-old man operated for stomachache, comma, doctors remove 116 iron nails, comma, long iron wire. So there's a fairly cumbersome headline, but basically a man with a stomachache was operated on, and they took 116 nails out of his stomach and wire. I was thinking about this because this is crazy. The only situation that I can really fathom for this is I think there must be redneck aliens. Like, because like regular aliens just like probe you and like for whatever reason they've got an intergalactic spaceship and they can travel at light speed, but they still need to do like anal probing to determine temperature for some reason. They haven't figured that out yet. They need to do anal probings, but they don't leave stuff in you. Or if they do, they do like some little gooey alien packet and you wind up on like the Sci-Fi Channel. This tells me there's like a redneck alien equivalent, and they're not sure what they're doing, so they just leave some nails in you.
That, you know what? I think that's a very logical explanation.
Thank you.
Probably what happened.
Yes,
I would say 92% chance that is exactly what happened.
I agree. Yes, tip of my game at analysis at 11 p.m. at night when I was flushing this stuff out.
The one thing what I didn't realize is how did they get into his stomach without just completely destroying his throat? Like, I can't sip tea, and you're gonna tell me without like burning my throat, you're gonna tell me that you take 116 nails? Like, what is he, just like a tiny sword swallower? Like, you just drop each and every one of them?
Maybe he is practicing sword swallowing, and he didn't read the full Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
He was just like trying to oh, okay, you start small, you work up big. Eventually,
that's what they didn't mention, is that the nails get progressively bigger and bigger as you go through.
And he kept like, oh, I'll just pull it out. Oh, damn it! Oh, I swallowed it again. Damn it! Okay, Clyde.
He thought he had like a magnetic wire, is how he was gonna. That's the thing, is the wire was actually magnetized to try and pull him out.
Or maybe this was like a really good magic trick that just didn't complete. He's like, I'm going to swallow all these nails, and I'm going to swallow all this. Like, someone that's like flirting with you at a bar, and they'll like get a cherry, and then they'll like tie it into a knot.
Yeah, I've never had that.
Have you never had that happen?
I'm sure that is.
Yeah,
does that happen a lot?
I'm basically like, I live in a 1972 era disco bar, and this is how women talk to me: is they like look at me across the room and tie cherry stems with their tongue. Maybe it was like that. Maybe he was going to like tie all these together in his stomach and then pull it out like a really hellish clown trick with all the
barbed wire for milady.
Yeah, he just pull it all out, and then like go up to a farmer and be like, yeah.
I don't know, man.
The other thing I thought is maybe, hear me out on this one. You know how we're supposed to eat like 8 spiders a year without knowing it? You've read those statistics before?
Yeah, I try and forget them, but thanks for reminding me.
Right, yeah, we eat 8. Maybe we eat nails and we don't know about it. Like, maybe that's a thing.
It just comes off the top.
Yeah, you're just like, you got your jaws agape, you're snoring, and then, like a nail works its way out. You just kind of like lug it down. Like, I've got like 9 in my stomach that I don't know about. I don't know.
You know what? What scares me is that is somewhat logical. Like, I do believe you, and now my stomach
That's the other 8%. We now know what it's going to be. It's either the redneck aliens, or you just swallow nails. If we don't want to live in my cartoon world, we can go that direction.
Either way, the world is scary, animated or otherwise.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Burger King.
Yeah, which is going to be relevant here in a minute. Yeah,
I know, it's called transitions. I'm
very good job. You know what? I will take your bait and go directly to that. I had a story. I might come back to it, but I'll go ahead and take your bait. All right. Burger King's latest plan: Whoppers delivered while you're sitting in traffic. They're rolling this out in Mexico City, which apparently has the worst traffic in the world. I didn't know that, but it's like an average of like 5 hours, which sounds absolutely like terrible, but good opportunity for podcast growth. So if you have friends in Mexico, send this to them. But they're now going to have it where I think if you're like guaranteed to be there for an hour or something, they'll have a guy on a bike come up and give you a Whopper.
Yeah. It looked like it was like motorcycles coming, like weaving in and out of traffic to bring you Burger King. Yeah. Which is, when I'm in traffic, if there's anything I love, it's seeing people break the rules of the road. That's what I want. Is somebody coming over and being like, you know how you've been here for an hour? I got here and left and had time to make bad food in the time that you've been in this exact location.
So you're getting double barrels of rising blood pressure in that situation, because you're already getting the cholesterol, and now you're also getting some smarmy guy on a bike that's able to weave through all this stuff. Yeah, you've put your finger on it, because I read that and I was like, I don't know why this enrages me, but it does. I can't tell you, but I don't like this. I hope this program fails. I don't know why.
I think there's part of me also that's angry that it is Burger King. Like, I genuinely do hate Burger King. I think it is the worst fast food.
Yeah.
And I'm including all fast food.
Yeah, okay.
Including just garbage.
I don't know why. Like, when you were growing up, did your family have like a designated fast food group and like one that they didn't go to?
Yeah, we went to Wendy's, like people with taste.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You guys, okay.
They serve chili, okay? Right, it's basically like a family barbecue spot. But Burger King is like, it's like the rubbery burgers you get at like a school cafeteria.
And that kind of spongy bread. Like, I've never liked it.
They shouldn't be calling themselves Burger King when that's their worst item.
Burger Duke.
Yeah, Burger Duke. I don't know.
Burger Viscount.
They should just call themselves McDonald's little brother and be done with it.
Yeah. We were a McDonald's family. We weren't. I've only had Burger King a couple times. I've never particularly liked it.
It's no good.
Yeah.
I do wish that the part of the service though was that instead of regular helmets, they had the Burger King head, and that's who you got to see weaving in and out of traffic through Mexico City,
cool.
just coming down.
I would enjoy that. Yeah, if they actually had like very again cartoonish mascots that were participating in the system.
Yeah.
Then I would be in favor of it.
And then the king arrives and he's like, "Get 5 wives," and then he kind of bikes off.
Good, and that is a callback. Good job, Kevin. All right, final story. Billboard worker falls from personal injury law firm Billboard. So you guys have seen these before. This is where someone has a, have you been, hurt on the job? Call, Bill Johnson & Johnson or whatever. So the guy that was putting up the billboard fell. And I have to think these guys did it. I have to think that they went up.
You think it was Celino and Barnes?
I think these guys went up with a bucket of grease and greased the whole damn thing. And we're like, all right, let's just sit back and wait for the publicity.
It's Celino and Barnes, who are my 2 favorite injury lawyers because they have the best.
Do you know them? Because I'm unfamiliar
I know
with
them
them
personally.
Really?
I work for them.
Wait, what?
I'm here to promote them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, but they have this jingle that's like Celino and Barnes, injury attorneys. I can't sing, but that's
Beautiful.
evident. Thank you so much. But it's a very sing-songy lullaby. And I think he was thinking of the song and felt like it puts you to sleep. Their ad. It is the most lullaby-ish jingle of all time. And if you think about it 3 or 4 verses in a row, you will fall asleep. And I think that explains it the most.
Okay, nice. So this was inadvertent.
I do.
You
think
knew
so,
they're ominous. Okay, I like that. I worked briefly one summer when I was in college. I worked for a defense attorney. Although we never greased any billboards or anything like that. We just mostly got people that were arrested and probably deserved it. That was one of the things that I learned because I thought working for a defense attorney, I thought it was all going to be Matlock. It was going to be 99%. Guys that were wrongfully accused, and it was no, all these people did it, and we're just trying to get them the best deal. That's the thing we're trying to get to. Yeah, I had to keep a buck knife in my drawer.
Yeah,
he called it a client opener. I never used it.
That was such a sadder ending to the story about the story started with somebody got injured and could an almost fatal injury, and I was like, this is sad, and then you're like, just don't worry,
let me one up
it gets worse.
Yeah. Here's what I do. Can I go back and tell you the weird thing that I ate?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. This gives you, if you have one, you can do it. I have been to 2 rattlesnake derbies in Oklahoma, which
you gotta explain what that is.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you grow up with The Simpsons? Are you familiar with The Simpsons?
I watched it.
You know what Whomping Day is? They've got an episode with Whomping Day where everybody goes out and kills snakes. Western Oklahoma, I assume other plain states, as the cities have grown, the small towns have declined in population, so all these old grain silos are filling up with rats, which causes rattlesnakes to happen. So all the towns in Western Oklahoma have rattlesnake derbies where everybody in town gets a pillowcase and a stick and goes out and grabs these rattlesnakes and then throws them into a pit, and then that attracts snake. I'm not making this up. Literally,
this is their Earth Day. Instead of having Earth Day, they're like, all right, let's go kill some animals today.
Yeah. Well, rattlesnakes. Yeah, we're killing rattlesnakes. They'll throw them. The ones that I'm in Mangum, Oklahoma, for this a couple times, and they throw all the snakes into a pit, and then snake handlers will go in, and then inevitably one of them will be bit and lose a finger or something because you shouldn't play with snakes, and they'll do that. And to really elaborate on this story, I'll just flush out the whole thing. I went with my buddy and I with these 2 old guys, these 80-year-old, Lions Club members or whatever, and they were doing ad hoc tours where we could go find rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
And we went out into the kind of the desert-like environment, because it wasn't quite farmland, but it was something approximate. And they start flipping the snake around with a stick, and it's going around their feet because they only see heat. So if you're in the blinding white light, they, noon on in August or whatever, they can't see you as long as you don't move. And one of them grabbed me. He's like, "Andy, do you know how far a snake can strike from end to end?" And I was like, I don't know, 6.5 feet. And then he pulls his sleeve back and he goes, "My experience, that much further than you thought." Because he'd been bit 8 times over the course of his lifetime doing this. And he seemed like a type, was probably the mayor. And then my buddy and I went back to Mangum proper, to central Mangum. And there was this completely ad hoc butcher shop that they'd made because they had all this, they were making alligator hot dogs. Yeah, and of course, or burgers, I think too.
Isn't that what's in a regular hot dog?
Burger King, yes.
Alligator?
They just get I'm sorry, not alligator, rattlesnake hot dog.
Oh, okay.
But at Burger King. And They were just like they were like, we could probably make a buck off this. So they're like, in crayon, they'd written like $1, see the butcher shop. And I came in and this guy was just like whacking heads off snakes. And he was like, hey, my man, you know that gallbladders are a delicacy in India or something like that? I was like, nah, I don't want to really do that. But he was like, what about that beating snake heart? That's been beating for an hour. And I was like, I'm impressed. So my friend Evan ate the gallbladder, and I had a beating rattlesnake heart. And anyway, this is how I believe I got superpowers.
How big is a snake?
Not big. It's
just like a little.
It's pretty small. It's very impressive because those snakes, like their spines are like a second brain. So once you cut the head off, and I've seen this a bunch of times now, the snake body will just keep wiggling for like a couple hours. And then the snake that I wound up eating, he cut the head off and then he held a hat in front of it, and it like hopped and bit the hat. And I was like, that is an impressive animal right there. I am impressed with it.
So the bit, like after the head came off, it continued moving?
Imagine like the demonic version of the French Revolution where like a head's cut off from a guillotine and then decides to bite a guy. Like that's what the
We got to
better
revise
rattlesnakes will
history
do.
and add that in. I feel like that would make
Go ahead and
7th
do
grade
that.
so much more exciting.
Yeah, so he did that, and then like the heart's pretty tiny. You're not super aware of it. Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
This what a great note to finish the program on. I'm really glad that I decided this wonderful, upstanding story to do this. Yeah, and you look terrified.
That's the only food I can imagine that would make me be like, I could go for some Burger King now. I would feel great right about.
Perfect. We'll end on that note. Hey, Kevin, it was fun to hang out with you. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
You too. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Where can people find you being funny?
You can check me out on Twitter at KSeefried, KSeefried, or check out my website, kevinseefried.com.
And if you live in D.C., you live here and you're funny here?
Yeah, I perform all around. My calendar's on my website.
Cool. Nice. All right. Little bit of listener feedback before we finish up the week. On iTunes, Epapscallion, which is either an electronic Episcopalian or maybe some kind of medical procedure, says, I'm a big fan of Justin Robert Young, so when Andrew appeared on his podcast, I subscribed to Something's Off immediately. The sponsorships at the beginning of each episode is just brilliant stuff. Actively looking for more sharp, witty, respectful, inquisitive pods like this one. Love the newsletter too. Thank you. That was great. I feel very nice about myself. You can watch this whole show on YouTube if you look for Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. You can see my handsome bearded face and assortment of suits. I think today I look like... Kevin, what do you? I think I look like I am either about to go perform bluegrass in an old-timey band, or maybe I'm soliciting donations for the megachurch. One of the two.
I think you look like an old candy salesman from the 1920s.
I'll take that. I could be a candy salesman in a Broadway musical. That's what I look like today. And you can see that on YouTube. You can also see the dead buffalo head we screwed to the wall. Watching Something's Off with Andrew Heaton on your phone isn't technically better than going to the opera. We all need a little class in our lives. But there's no reason you can't sneak your phone into the opera and watch the show during the boring parts. Almost certainly someone will thank you, and it's pretty low-level offense, so you're not likely to get arrested. So go to YouTube and start watching full episodes. I look like I sit on the porch sipping a whiskey while yelling at kids to get on my lawn and mow it. Remember, you can always tweet me at Mighty Heaton or Facebook me at facebook.com/Mighty Heaton, or even email me by subscribing to my newsletter at mightyheaton.com and just replying when I send it out on Fridays like today, when I will actually do it, I promise. Finally, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. That helps other people discover this here political orphanage and learn about rattlesnakes. And I left out some really grisly facts for you guys too, but you'll learn out more. Thank you, and good day.